Good morning. My name is Thomas. You are watching today's history. Today we are talking about the atomic bombs dropping on Japan. So, why did I feel this was important to talk about today? Well, we just actually passed the betrayal of the Treaty of Versailles in Germany. So, I wanted to debunk a couple myths about the atomic bombs dropping. A lot of people think that Japan tried to surrender prior to the atomic bombs being dropped, which is not true. So let's start off with the first thing is the Potsdam Declaration on July 26, 1945. There was an ultimatum that was dropped. It was an unconditional surrender or prompt and utter destruction. There was no actual details of the atomic bomb or of a new weapon or anything of the sort, not even the cities that were to be targeted. It was literally just leaflets falling on the ground saying surrender or die. There was no, oh, well, we might do this, we might do that, this city is in danger. No, war's not pretty. They're not going to tell you what they're going to do in any regard. So we dropped the atomic bombs, which, of course, Japan was working on, Germany was working on, and I believe Russia was also working on. Japan did not believe that we had atomic activity yet. They thought they were in the lead. Lo and behold, we were first. We dropped that bomb first. There was a guy that was captured that said that America had hundreds of these atomic bombs. And he was lying because he was captured and they were going to behead him, which is absolutely horrible. But when a nuclear physicist got a hold of him and found out that he had no idea what he was talking about, I think they let him go. Just because, he started making stuff up because they were about to behead him. But back on the topic. In Hiroshima, the bomb was dropped on August 6, 1945. In Nagasaki, the bomb was dropped on August 9th, 1945. Between 110 and 210,000 people died. A lot of people seem to believe that millions died. No, it wasn't in the millions. If you want to talk millions of deaths, that would have been the Germany side, where there were, I believe, about 1,000 people dying per hour is a statistic that I heard. So after this, on August 10th, Japan offered a conditional surrender, a white peace, if you will. What this was they wanted to keep everybody that was in charge and mongering for war, and to keep all the land that they had claimed from China. And I believe they were beginning to invade Russia. And it was the invasion of Manchuria, which was obviously denied, because who's going to accept? You guys waged war over there. Yeah, we'll call it a draw. You're kind of in the corner with a broken arm. You're whimpering for your life. We'll call that a draw. Now, the United States and the Allies were not going to accept that. To be fair, though, they had to give back that land back. They had to give that land back to China. They had to give it back to Russia. On another topic, we will talk about Nanjing. That's something that I really want to get into, and I've been I don't want to say excited, but definitely I want to shine a light on. That's something that I feel a lot of people need to learn about, because it's something that has been left out of history because people want to make history pretty. History is not pretty. So why do I think that bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki were the right decisions? Well, a lot of people will say, why not target Emperor Hirohito in Tokyo? The problem is that Tokyo was already being firebombed on a daily basis. You have all these houses made of wood, and Japan in general was just being firebombed. Excuse me. The firebombing of Japan killed a lot more people a lot quicker, a lot faster. Those all the houses were just one after another, pretty much touching, or they had trees in between. And it was just a very easy target to, oh, hey, we're going to drop one bomb there and it's going to spread. And of course, you're dropping many bombs. The alternative to that was the bat bombs. I can't believe that was a historical thing. There should be a thing here. Yeah, there was a America tried to use bats as bombs. I don't know how else to say that. That's highly unethical. I'm glad that did not happen. I forget. I believe the French or the British also used chickens as bombs. I don't know what to say about that. That's awful. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't get over that. I'm leaving all this in the video. So the atomic bombs were definitely more ethical than the bat bomb, which very glad that we did not actually get to that. So the Allies wanted a firm surrender. Eventually, the Allies did accept the surrender on August 14th, 1945, to keep Emperor Hirohito in charge because that stopped a vacuum of power from being opened in a freshly scarred Japan. And no one was able to get into power to want to declare revenge or not take responsibility. Even in Japan right now, they're actually still told they didn't do anything wrong with Pearl Harbor. That wasn't them. That it never happened. That was just our excuse to get in the war. But no, there's a memorial there. There's a lot of people that died in Pearl Harbor. But Emperor Hirohito got on radio, and people were dressed up as if they were going to church to hear his voice for the first time on radio. This was the first time the emperor was heard on radio to declare that they had surrendered for World War II and they were accepting responsibility, which I believe the commanding officers either committed suicide or were tried at the Geneva Conventions. But I know that Geneva, or not Geneva Conventions. I'll leave a comment below about what when they were tried or what happened. I'll do that sometime this week because I need to do some research on that. But now, what was the alternative? The alternative was an invasion, which they estimated that's where you get the number 1 million, because they believe 1 million people would have died in that invasion and not on Japan's side. They printed all the Purple Hearts that they could leading up to the idea of that invasion, just because they were expecting either wounded or dead soldiers, which, very glad that we did not get to that. I believe a lot more civilians would have died if we would have actually gone through an invasion. So now, with that being said, what are the other potential what-ifs? The question then becomes, would the Cold War have happened? And absolutely, because at the Trinity test site, there were still traitors to America. I believe the Rosenbergs were still there ready to betray the United States to sell our secrets to Russia. So the Cold War still would have happened. Russia would still have our nuclear plans for the atomic bomb, which, again, at the time, America was the only one to have perfected the atomic bomb to any degree. This put America on a field of power that no other country could compare to, because the threat would always be there of, if we start a fight with them, are we going to be the ones turned into a glass floor? What happens now? Which Russia started to do that. There's where you get into the Cold War, and thankfully it fizzled to just about nothing. There was no actual war. I don't know if anybody died. I'm not versed in the Cold War all that well. I'm also not versed in the Korean and Vietnamese War, which soon I'll be getting versed in that soon. I can't wait. Well, not that I can't wait, but I love reading history. That's my whole thing. So overall, I believe that the nuclear bombs were definitely necessary for World War II to come to a prompt end. It definitely accelerated to the end of the war. Shortly after Japan had surrendered, we moved all of our troops and our focus over onto the German side. And then, us and Germany just crushed Germany. And that was when we found Hitler's body, which unfortunately he had committed suicide. I would love for him to have actually been tried for war crimes and seen the outcome of that. But that's just me being kind of a historical, curious nerd and wanting to see what happened. So now, after hearing all this, what do you think? What is your idea of the dropping of the atomic bombs? Do you believe it was good? Was it bad? Was it unethical? I would love to know your opinions down below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know where you stand on that. After hearing all this information, I'll respond to as many comments as I can. Hope you all have a wonderful day.